Whether to evacuate. U.S. evacuation plans aren't very great, so if you think a nuke attack is possible and want to improve chances of survival, you should begin improving your chances of survival before a desperate crisis arises. Spontaneous evacuations. Keep in mind traffic jams. Now, if you live within 10 miles of a targeted area, plan to evacuate. It may be a mandatory evacuation. We just don't know, you know. But you should assess your area where you are and determine if you're within 10 miles or not. And if you are, then you need to plan accordingly. If you live outside of a 10-mile targeted area, you could probably shelter in place in or near where you live. Okay. So there's a checklist, pretty much 5 bullet points per. The 5 bullet points that are favorable to evacuation are as follows. If you live in a highest risk or high risk area, you should evacuate. If you have transportation with enough gasoline and roads are open to a low risk area, you should evacuate. If you're in fairly good health and can evacuate with someone that's able to take care of you, you should evacuate. Your work is not of the kind that your community depends on, then you should evacuate. You have some tools with which to build or improve a fallout shelter. You also have water containers, food, clothing, adequate to sustain yourself in the area where you go to. Alright, those are the 5 bullet points that are favorable to evacuation. Now, the 5 that are unfavorable to evacuation. You live outside a high-risk area, and you can build an expedient fallout shelter. You have no means of transportation, or you believe that roads are likely to be blocked by the time you make a decision. You're too sick or decrepit, and it's too risky for you to leave. You suddenly cannot leave your home for several days without hurting others. Pretty much the community depends on you to be there. And finally, you lack the tools that would be helpful but not necessarily essential to successful evacuation. That's pretty much it. I just want to go over on one thing. I want to put a little emphasis on this here, because we're not ready for a surprise attack, put it that way. So if you believe that a nuclear attack on the U.S. is possible and want to improve your chances of surviving, then well before a desperate crisis arises, you had better either make preparations to improve you and your family's survival chances at or near where you live, or plan and prepare to evacuate. So that's pretty much it. That's my thing, you know. A lot of us out there feel the same way about this. Like, it's a worst case scenario. If you prepare for a worst case scenario, which is what this is, you're pretty much prepared for anything that could happen. So it's not a waste of an investment to me, to prepare for the worst. So, and I'm doing that. Eventually, I'll share some of my ideas, but right now I want to stay on track here, and I'm taking my time with this. I don't think there's any need to rush through things. The slower the better. All right, so that's it for today. See you in the next episode. Have a good one.